it's funded for technology and college prep, which is what we got a grant for. But every lunch period, we talk about this. We showed this to our youth. And these are inner city kids that went through the public school system that had no idea about their history. Our Puerto Rican students had no idea they had indigenous blood. I mean, it was unbelievable, and that's how we take our kind of scholarship or theory into activism. And you're exactly right. I mean, you have to, and to stay in an ivory tower and read a book is not going to do anything, in the community and people's lives. So I agree. I mean, we have to go into the community and have action. And I'm happy to see secondary teachers here.
Future secondary teachers here.
Yeah, and I would have liked, I thought more faculty from Southern would have participated in this. And I think that says something in itself too.
Yeah, just to fill you in. We started last semester, at the end of the semester, very end of the semester, with Tim Wise coming here and giving a speech, and then we followed up much after that. And that was, we got together and we said, well, what are we going to do? We don't want to just sit around and talk, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things we wanted to do, actually, we suggested was putting out a survey to try for the rest of the campus. But when we sat down to do that, and I'm just filling you in here, because when we sat down to say, all right, let's do a survey, well, all right, how are we even going to get this through? Because, we don't even have any support yet, so we said, all right, let's set up something like this, which is initially was scheduled ahead of time, but then got pushed back a little bit. And so, you hope to get some people together who start to build, a little bit of a bond, and who start to form an identity, and then you take it from there. So the point isn't just to watch a film. So one suggestion I made was when I was going through research on racism in prisons, stuff like that. I came across a speech by a Baltimore judge who was saying they don't allow condoms in prison because it would promote sexual conduct. And there's a few state prisons which do allow it, but not many. And I don't know about behavior. There's consciousness at the same time about conditions in prison, about racial character and gender and whatever. But before you jump into that, you kind of probably want to get some people together. So hopefully this could, slowly start to pick up.
Steve,
I just wanted to kind of raise a point about kind of the deep structural problems that one faces in terms of actually succeeding in activism. One of which is progressives who don't act progressive, and the reasons have to do with internal incentives. If you wanted to have a program here, for example, like you said, which I think would be a good thing to have the kind of history taught that you're talking about to first-year students, you would have the faculty resist it. And it would resist it not because supposedly it would be about resisting the content, because faculty wants to have control of their curriculum. So if Dr. Williams wanted to have that program put in place, he would get an enormous amount of resistance from the faculty about putting such a program in place, because it would take away faculty prerogative. And you would get people who are progressive again, and particularly in humanities departments in universities, most of the people are relatively progressive, but they'll end up acting counter-progressively a lot of the time out of other internal incentives. And one of the things activism requires is really careful strategy about how to get people to sort of move out of their complicated sense of ideals and self-interest and other kinds of interest, to get them to actually act in accordance with their ideals rather than with the other kind of principles that often drive them much more powerfully than the things that they would say that they're actually affiliated with. I'll let you go in a second, but the English department recently is trying to revise its curriculum. It had, most of the people in the English department would identify themselves as being very progressive and left, and you still end up with a curriculum that looks fairly conservative. And the issue is, it's like you can't find your way out of old kind of institutional and field identified priorities, that it's really important that every student here has to take Shakespeare, for example. No one's saying it's really important that every student here would have to take Toni Morrison or Ralph Ellison or, you know, whomever it would be, or any other kind of author. And the issue is, these are progressive people talking, all of whom would think that they're absolutely in support of all of the stuff that we're talking about tonight. And when it gets down to acting, act very differently. And it's an ongoing problem.
There's anthropology professor.
Paul's
Oh, Paul,
first.
okay, and I did see actually Paul, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm just
I know you
jumping up
did
a
raise
bit
it,
to
yeah.
respond.
I was going to say something else, but I just want to connect with him on Shakespeare. In one of the videos, it talks about Shakespeare actually investing in a slave plantation. But we want to teach English here. It's like, who knows that stuff, you know? I want to add on what Mike was saying, and also, I'm sorry, Steve, about making the correct strategy. We want to have a couple of these things to get more students out. And the way we think we can affect the faculty is actually by using student support. Get enough students maybe to sign something, say we want this kind of stuff here, or later on we'll get enough students, we'll give them a survey and say, do you know this, this, and this? And they'll answer, and then after they find out they don't know certain things, say, like, why not? Do you feel you're getting the education you really think you should have, you know? And why don't you know this information? And then from there, we can then bring it to the administration and say, students feel they need to be educated on this because they don't feel they're getting their money's worth, let's say. Something I want to add on with what Ann said about our outside activities. You know, we're working with inner city kids, and you saw the thing about the prison system, right? It's based on economics, poverty, bad school systems, because if you're poor, your school system is funded by your taxes in a poor neighborhood. So of course you have the worst schools, and if you're wealthy, you live in Westport or Fairfield, your school system is the best because it's funded by wealthy taxes, right? So that's one way of keeping the slaves from not getting educated. Let's put it like that. You know, don't teach the slaves to read, don't teach the grandkids of the slaves very well, but enough to work at McDonald's. So we're taking inner city kids and we're training them in technologies, graphics, web design, computer technologies, and we're actually trying to gear them towards getting some jobs. We took one young man from adult ed who didn't plan on going to college. He's now signed up for Gateway, thanks to Ann, and he just started this semester. Also, in the community, we're having something similar to this on February 28th. For anyone that wants to come out, I can give you some stuff after this, that we have inviting the community out to watch a video and have another discussion like this on campus.
I see a few hands, actually. Collins first, Annette, and then Dan.
I definitely want the opportunity to respond, but I want other people to have a chance to talk too. So.
Well, go ahead, Collins.
Well, first of all, if the faculty resisting, and I was trying very hard to use my active listening skills without thinking of response. It was very difficult, but I don't disagree with anything you said, but frankly, I think that the only people's voice at this university, or at any voice that matter, at any university for that matter, are the students. Personally, I don't give a damn what the faculty think. We could have a university without faculty. However, I understand that that's not the reality. But taking the university as a microcosm of society, what we're really looking at the power structure. Why don't the students have the power structure? Because they're the primary stakeholders. Students should decide what they want to learn, just like, you know, this whole K through 12 problem. But that's not the reality, like I said. However, if we're going to come up with a goal and you say, you know, I understand that this is my third conversation. I mean, this is the fourth conversation now at this point. But the point is, all right, so me specifically, I'm going to leave here, and then, but you haven't given me what we're going to do. You said, all right, I'm making condoms in the prison system, which is a fine goal. If you want to work for that goal, I don't know if I'd be interested, because it seems like a Band-Aid. It's not solving the problems, it's just solving the symptoms. But anyway, the point is, if I'm going to leave here and you want my help, well, A, you should get my name and phone number. This should go around, because if you've convinced me personally, you should be able to contact me. But still, you don't have something for me to work toward except further education, but that's not getting us anywhere except for, you know, talking in circles in the ivory tower type of thing. So if we had something to be working for, even if it's like a preliminary goal that we could have to be working toward, anything really, it's something tangible that we see a problem, we're gonna fix it type of thing. And if we have to revise that goal, that's fine, but like, I want to get something done. And I hope that
What is
other
this
people
that
do
you
too.
want?
Okay,
I
I
have to respond.
I have to respond.
Okay,
I just have to respond very quickly. Colin, before you can do anything, you have to understand what the issues and what the problem is. You can't move people to action, otherwise you're just reacting to something, and you know, you may do a little something here at the corner, but the main purpose, I think, of this forum is to help people understand, to get the sense of the bigger picture. Not just take a little bitty thing or go out and do something just to do it, but to understand how all of this is working. Now, you may understand it,
Right.
but